Hey everybody, Stacks here. And guys, as you probably know if you follow this channel at all, I am not a DC guy. I'm not, but I'm a Marvel guy. I mostly read Marvel comics, almost exclusively, and I've had my eyes opened as of recently. Thanks to my friends over the Comic Aficionados, I've been exposed to some of the most recent Batman titles, including Batman Last Night on Earth and Curse of the White Knight, both of which are absolutely incredible. And if you're not picking up these two titles and you're a Marvel person, it's time to try a DC comic book. So like I've already mentioned, I'm not a DC guy. I don't know DC continuity at all. I will be lost in the sauce, but I'm going to review Batman Last Night on Earth. I'm going to do some recap from number 1, just once over the world on some of the bigger items, but I'm going to do a review of Last Night on Earth number 2. Here we go. So the book starts with Batman investigating something that's not even really, it's not a crime. He is investigating that for the last 364 days, someone has been drawing a 5-foot chalk line every morning, and it's gone by the evening. Now, because he's Batman, he notices this. He takes the imagery using satellites, he puts them together, and when he does, he realizes it's a chalk outline of a dead Batman. To make it just a little weirder, the heart of Batman, his stopped heart, would be in the exact location where, in the alley where his parents were killed, Crime Alley. So as Batman arrives, he notices a child, probably 10, 11 years old, on his knees under an umbrella in the rain. He flatly asks him, "Hello, son, are you hurt, young man?" And Alfred is giving him warnings in his earpiece, telling him, "Look, something is not right about this." And Bruce just tells him, "Look, I know, Alfred." He goes back to the kid, says, "Son, I'm going to take a look at you, okay? And I'm going to make sure you're all right. Don't be frightened. I'm here." And as Batman slowly pulls away the umbrella, he's met with 2 cold, dead eyes, and he's looking at this poor kid who's been murdered. Batman immediately starts investigating and taking it all in, tells Alfred, "Hey, get hold of Jim. The victim appears to be 10, 11 years old, badly decomposed, and there's some kind of mechanical..." And right at that moment, the gun pops up and shoots Bruce Wayne right in the stomach. When Bruce Wayne wakes up, he's in Arkham Asylum, and immediately he knows something's not right. He starts screaming for Alfred, and when he looks up, it's not Alfred. It's the Joker. But it's explained to him that, look, the Joker isn't a thing. You've put these imaginary identities on all these people who have been trying to help you for years. And it gets worse because it's not just the Joker telling him, it's Alfred telling him. And Alfred goes as far as to bring out the bat suit, which was actually explained to him as, look, this helmet was to protect you, and the helmet and the ears and everything, it's all part of an electroshock treatment we were using to try to help you. But when it comes down to it, Bruce looks at it, he knows something's not right, and he ain't having it. He goes off. He puts on the suit, he rips through security. It's within a few minutes, he's made it all the way to the top floor where he's cornered. Then they finally cornered him, and there's nowhere else for him to go. He's just yelling at him, "Alfred, I figured it out, but why? Why?" And Alfred just asked everyone else to leave, said, "Just leave us." And when it's just the 2 of them, he sits there and he explains to him that outside the walls, there's nothing. Not only that, but Alfred is actually much, much older than he appears. And apparently this has something to do with the fact that Bruce Wayne designed a cloning system that cloned a new Bruce Wayne every 26 years so that Gotham City always had a Batman. That's all I got on that. I mean, I don't know. I'm Marvel guy reading the DC book. Give me that much. Anyways, Alfred explains all this to him, and then the last thing he does is a request from an old man. Is he hugs his son. Bruce Wayne has basically been his son. He did all this to protect him. But he knows as soon as he tells him the truth of the world as it is now that he's going to leave. So he asks him, "Hey, let me just give you a hug and let me just hold on to the boy that I love." And man, that got me, I ain't gonna lie. So for some reason following that, Batman emerges from in a desert. He comes out of the sand, notices something over to the side on a post, and goes over and looks at it. He he brushes away the sand from it, and it's the Joker's head in a jar on a pole. And as if that isn't bad enough, as Batman's sitting there looking at it, kind of investigating, trying to figure out, the eyes pop up and he goes, "Who's there?" So Batman reflexively punches him, but he's a head in a jar, so it really doesn't matter. But the banter back and forth between the Joker and Batman during this is actually really funny. At this point, he's actually called, the Joker's calling him the dynamic duo of Batman and Noggin. Because he's just a head. So anyways, it's funny. So they wander on for 2 days and they come across this town where a big battle happened involving the Green Lanterns. Something called Mogo leached all the power out of something, and Green Lantern rings fell from the sky. And just random people were picking them up, but they weren't able to properly handle them. And because of that, there's a bunch of zombie-like people running around, and suddenly they're creating giant green babies that are attacking Batman out of nowhere. And it looks goofy as heck, but in the book, it's actually really, really cool, really funny. Well, Batman's getting stomped by these things, and luckily for him, somebody, I don't know who this is, shows up in an invisible vehicle, yanks him into the ship, and they get out of there. And you find out that what it is a bunch of the female heroes all seem to survive, at least 4 of them. I don't know who some of these people are. We'll guess because it might be fun. Obviously Supergirl, I'm thinking Poison Ivy, the Huntress, and no idea on the end, but I'm sure she's not from Wakanda. Y'all grade me down in the comments on that. And just for bonus points, you get to find out that they're being led by Mohawk Wonder Woman. There are 2 important things that happened here. The first one is that Bruce gets a Batman suit from Diana. The other one is that we get the overall what happened from Diana. And what happened is Lex Luthor came on TV and he basically made a pitch to the world saying, do you want to choose good or evil? And he made a pitch for evil. And with that, everybody basically said, yeah, that's what we want. It led to a big war. And then after that war, everybody fell, including Batman. Superman, Batman, everybody falls. And they actually ended up turning on Luthor, and this guy named Omega rose. In all the fighting and everything, the villains and the remaining heroes joined together and tried to take down Omega, and they failed. And it's also explained here that Diana helped Alfred to set up the machine to set up and bring forward a new Bruce Wayne that would have all the memories of the old Bruce Wayne so that Alfred could have his boy. The last thing that Diana tells him is that she has a bunch of people there that she's going to take down into Hades because it's the only place they could be safe. And Bruce is against that. But when Diana comes out the next morning for them all to leave, Bruce is gone. And she is in no way surprised. And that's where we start issue 2, is in this old crappy rundown apartment. And Mr. Joe Chill, the guy who killed Batman's parents, is cooking when he hears a voice behind him saying, "The snub nose isn't in there, Mr. Chill, and the shotgun isn't behind the stove, and the 45 in the bedroom, it probably would have jammed anyways, but it ain't there anymore either." And Joe Chill goes looking for a fight, basically telling Batman, "You ain't as stealthy as you once were, Ears." Well, sure enough, Batman pops up behind him and stabs him with the fork he was using to stir the meal. Well, during the scuffle, they start a little fire. It's growing pretty quick, and Batman's using that to his advantage as he interrogates Joe Chill. And to do this justice, the only thing I could really do is read it here. Funny thing is, this meal, it was making it for you. The end of an era feast. The boy has no record, no identification, 10 years old. 10 and 3 months. The DNA says he's your son, but you never had a son. Huh. Means he takes after me pretty good. Plugging Wayne's in Criminal Alley. Heh. Got you bad, didn't he? Stomach still sensitive. That's why I was thinking Cayenne. Bruce. That's right, Bruce. Bruce Wayne. I know everything. In seconds, the fire behind me will be unstoppable. Who was the boy you left in the alley? You mean you or the new one? Who is he? You already know. You've always known. All these years, you never wondered why the pearls. Really? Well, no more secrets. So welcome to the last case you'll ever solve, detective. See, it's your house that's burning tonight, Ears, not mine. To the ground. After that, Batman wakes up in the desert, and the first thing he sees is Joker. And Joker has a very important question for him. He wants to know, hey, Batman, can I be Robin now, please? And it's just the humor of Joker throughout this is hilarious. But anyways, they encounter a tornado, a red tornado, which is a speed force storm, and it'll age you to really old real quick, or it'll turn you down into baby cells. You could seriously put everything I know about the Flash and the Flash comic book mythos on the end of a thumbtack. I know nothing about the Flash practically. Haven't watched the DC shows or anything. Now, one thing that's really crazy is that as the storm goes by, it starts yelling at him. People inside the storm, like Barry Allen, they start yelling at him, telling him, "Bruce, for the love of everything, help us, please help us." But Bruce knows there's nothing that he can do for him. The next location they stop is a station that was defended and protected by Nuclear Man. Now, I don't know what this means, but it says, "A place so promising the red and the green blessed it with their avatars. It was meant to be a bastion of science, nature, human will, where humanity would make new heroes, better heroes." I don't know what the green and red thing is. But anyways, as they're on their hang glider going over it, the alarm goes off, everything starts going crazy, and suddenly somebody's yelling, "Everyone get to your posts!" So everybody comes rushing out. All these guys in bandages come rushing out with this giant tank behind them, which is just, I'm sorry, dumb looking, but okay, we'll go with it. So they're rushing to their post. They start opening fire, and they're firing at just these funky looking monsters that are charging at them. Just running up, biting them, cyclopses, things with two faces, little gremlin looking dudes, jumping on them and biting them and everything. And they're just massacring each other. They have artillery raining in. They're in close quarters combat with these guys. It is a fight. And then suddenly, as they start just burning all these monsters, just this giant beast shows up in the mist, and I'm assuming it's Swamp Thing, some kind of mutated giant Swamp Thing. It just comes out, and he's just massive. He's over the entire battlefield. Now, the conflict here for Batman is he wants to help. He wants to help somebody, but he doesn't know even who to help. And when he tells Joker, "Hey, we need to help," Joker just says, "Who?" And Batman doesn't move. He just continues to glide on, and they glide past this whole incident that's going on. From there, we jump back to Alfred, who's in his illusional city, if you will, and he's about to turn it off when suddenly a voice says, "Don't turn it off all off just yet. It's so pretty." And Alfred just instantly is, "Who's hiding there? Leslie, is that your voice box acting up again? Leslie? Hello, Pennyworth. You did a bad thing." And it turns out it's Bane and the Scarecrow marching at him down the alley. Now, Alfred warns him to stay back, but Scarecrow jumps down and starts walking forward on his finger, saying, "Couldn't just leave well enough alone, could you? You couldn't keep your head down." And Alfred, just not backing down, says, "He sent you then, himself?" And Scarecrow replies, "He goes by Omega, not the name you knew him by. He said to tell you he'll give you one last chance. Come back to Gotham, come home. He'll take you in, make you stronger. Like he did for you two? Yes, cutting away what isn't needed, so what do you say?" Well, Alfred ain't no punk, so he's like, "Hey, look, I'm glad you came here today. I made a terrible mistake, you see, because I didn't kill you the first time I had a chance." And he goes full out shotgun on him, close range, just pumping rounds into Bane's chest. But unfortunately, while he's doing that, Scarecrow gets him in the back. Not only that, but Omega shows up, which is some kind of future Batman suit thing. Now, something very interesting happens here in this conversation between Omega and Alfred. Omega obviously in some ways still cares for Alfred, I guess, because he tells him, "Shh, I have to tell you something. You did it. You convinced them. You convinced the Waynes. They're not going to that show of Zorro after all. You saved them. You saved them. Now you can sleep." And as Alfred breathes his last breath, he says, I see them. They're safe. They're all safe." And he dies right there on the spot. From there, we jump forward a few days, and Batman has arrived at the Fortress of Solitude. He's working his way, he's climbing up it, and Joker is still cracking jokes, knock jokes, and all kinds of different, just having a blast. Well, suddenly they hear something incoming, and it's a rocket, and it smashes down right next to him. And it ends up that it's actually Superman's rocket, and they're trying to figure out what's going on. And when I say his rocket, I mean the one he came to Earth in as a child. But Bruce is sitting there checking this thing out, and suddenly he gets absolutely just smashed and has this big fella with an S on his chest standing over him. And before you can even really get your bearings, this bearded Superman is carrying Bruce out of the Fortress of Solitude. Now, Batman eventually gets to where he regains consciousness and is walking with Superman, but Superman here isn't answering any questions. The more they walk, Bruce is just asking questions about, why are you hiding in a cave while the world's falling apart? Why, out of everybody, I thought you would have been the one to fight. What are you doing in this place? That's when he steps out of it and into what looks like Smallville. It's got the Kent name on the mailbox and everything, and he walks Bruce into this house and takes him upstairs, and there you see an old, skinny, bald Superman shirt wearing Lex Luthor. Now, it's obvious pretty quick that Luthor is not in his right mind. Now, he's certainly brilliant, but he's rattled something loose up there. He's crazier than usual. And he takes Batman out to a shed that is full of Superman robots. They're basically made with organic tissue that's been infused with Kryptonian cells. They're nearly as powerful as Superman, but his main purpose is to restore hope. Now, something else that Lex Luthor has been trying to do is he's creating these portals, these cosmic portals that can bring in objects from, I guess, other dimensions. And here, Batman finally just asks him, "What did you do?" And this is actually a further explanation of what Diana was talking about in the first issue, and that's Luthor didn't launch any great attack. He basically challenged Superman to a televised debate, and he agreed that if he lost the debate, he would quit fighting forever. He would dissolve the Legion. He would have one last debate, and it would be good versus evil in front of the whole world. And basically, the deciding factor would be the stakes. And what the stakes was some Kryptonian shards that were underneath the ground that would pop up and kill whoever lost. And it's explained that these shards are connected to basically everyone in the world through big to-do, that all they have to do is simply think good or evil, and if everybody thinks good, or most people, more than 50% think good, then Superman wins, and most people think bad, then Lex Luthor wins. Well, Superman gets up there and he knocks it out of the park. He talks, freedom, justice, the American way of life, being good to others, just everything that is everything that is right with the world. And even Lex Luthor basically says that he won the debate, hands down. The speech he gave afterwards, I didn't even feel like standing up for evil. And afterwards, as they knew there, Lex Luthor even says, we both knew that he had won. However, he showed, his grace and humility, and he fully expected Superman to save him from these stakes. And what happened ended up surprising both of them, because the next thing you know, the ground began to shake, and these shards, these stakes jammed up through the ground and right through Superman. That's not what was supposed to happen. Even Lex Luthor didn't think that's what was supposed to happen. Luthor further explains that this was all a mistake. This wasn't supposed to happen. The villains, they all turned on us. We even made another we made another Batman to try to control everything, but that didn't work either. Nothing worked. It all just blew up in our face. And since then, Lex Luthor has been trying to reach out to another dimension and bring in a new Superman, but he didn't realize how rare it was that the rocket carrying him actually arrived on Earth with a surviving child in it. And as Lex sits there with his face in his hands, just frustrated that he can't figure this out, one of the Supermen come in and asks, say, Lex, what is it, my boy? And he just Goldberg spears Batman and Lex Luthor. A surprise like that from somebody he thought was an ally, he isn't able to put up much of defense and is drug outside where Bane, Scarecrow are waiting for him. Right as old man Clark Kent is about to just lay down the beatdown on Batman, suddenly out of nowhere, our Mohawk warrior friend Wonder Woman shows up and just about slices Captain Kent here in half. And she's not playing at all, because the old man Superman here thinks he's going to take another swing, and he ends up losing that arm too. And because after that he couldn't just take a hint, guess what? She went and took his head off as well, just for good measure. Because you know what? She don't need no man. I don't know. Unfortunately, though, that's not the end of the problem, because Scarecrow drugged all of the Supermen that were in the barn, and they're all coming for Batman and Wonder Woman. So as this army of Supermen come flying at Lex Luthor, Batman, and Wonder Woman, basically the only thing that they can come up with is to open a portal, like Lex Luthor's been doing, open a portal and jump them out to the outskirts of town. And they do that. They jump to a place that is actually where the Spectre, where he passed around, or where he died during this big war. I don't know anything really about the Spectre, so y'all can fill me in on that as well. But apparently he has a cape, and that cape is a pathway between dimensions, and you can, or different worlds, realms. You can go through to Hades through Spectre's cape. I'm telling you everything I know at this point. Now, a couple interesting things happen down here in Hades. First of all, the lasso. The lasso is the only way they can see down there. Everything is absolutely, completely pitch black. And another thing is just the voices of the dead, the voices of the familiar dead that are haunting to hear. And it makes it worse actually with the lasso because you can see them. Well, one of the things that Batman hears is everybody. He hears everybody because in some way he's responsible for their death in this storyline. But what gets him most of all is he looks out and he sees Alfred. And Alfred, just recently, he knew to be alive. And obviously with what just happened, he's not anymore. And Bruce about loses it. He manages to pull himself together and he's still convinced this is all a mistake. And he's convinced he's going to screw this up, that this Omega guy, it's basically him. And he's just afraid that he's basically this Omega version is going to outsmart him. He's just going to end up getting everyone killed again. Then there's a reference here that I don't get, so maybe you guys can help me in the comments. And I'm just going to do the voices because it's probably the easiest way to do it. You probably will. And she's talking about getting everyone killed. You probably will. I mean, you are the one who held the door open that time. Then why? Why what? Why would you follow me, Diana? Why? Because you're the one who held the door open that time. I don't know what door they're talking about. I don't know if this was... I don't have a clue. So if somebody help me out there. Let me know what that event was she's talking about, holding a door open. So together they march for days. And finally they get to a point where they are overlooking Gotham City. And at this point it's hard to say they actually have a plan on how they're going to do anything once they get there. But as they're walking in, suddenly they start getting somebody's just yelling who, and you find out that it's actually a group called the Court Owl, the Court of Owls. And these dudes look pretty awesome, and it looks like you're about to get a throwdown between some street ninjas and Wonder Woman and Batman, when suddenly Batman goes, that voice. And you find out, they go back and forth, listen to me, it's Bruce. Is that you under there? And my goodness, Bruce, it's me. He pulls back the hood, and it's Dick Grayson. And that's the conclusion of Batman Last Night on Earth #2. So, I mean, guys, these two books were awesome. I mean, this was an awesome storyline. It's not in Marvel. It's definitely not Marvel continuity, but it's not in DC continuity. It's an out of continuity book. Scott Snyder is a fun writer. Greg Capullo is. I mean, the art in this is fantastic. This is a quality book. Not only that, this was. It's like 50 something pages, and it's I think a $5.99 book. This is the same price as they were charged for X-Men, Power of X, and honestly, this was a better book. I mean, it's a quality binding. It's a big book for $6. It's high quality. I really liked it. I really enjoyed it, and I definitely highly recommend you go pick it up. I enjoyed this. I really liked White Knight or Curse of the White Knight. Both of these Batman books have been fantastic. So as a Marvel fan, I've been screaming, I want good comics, I want good comics, I want good comics. And I look over here, and there's actually some really good comics. Could you choose to focus on some of the negative aspects of this book, like Wonder Woman having a mohawk, or the Femme Fatale team that they had? Yeah, you can choose to focus on that, but the rest of the storyline is really good, and those parts that they showed didn't detract at all from the main storyline and the main protagonist being Batman. Diving a little deeper into continuity, did I get lost on some of the continuity stuff? Some of the stuff that, as a Marvel fan, I don't really know in the DC universe. The red and green totem thing, I really didn't understand. I don't really understand what's up with the Force tornado thing. I got it. It's I don't know anything about the Flash. I'm flashless. So am I at a disadvantage on that? Yeah, but I don't think it's anything that really detracted from the story to the point where I maybe missed like a little nugget or a little Easter egg that somebody else that was really into the DC continuity would have understood. But, I still really enjoyed it without it. So there were a few things throughout the video. The red and the green totems, that was one that stood out. If y'all can answer me that. Where did Batman come up with this 26-year thing where he gets reincarnated? I mean, okay. Or he clones himself, I guess. He's not reincarnation. He's being cloned. And then the part about Batman holding open a door that Wonder Woman mentioned. What were those three things? If you know those three things, put them down in the comment, guys. I sincerely appreciate it. Make sure you leave a like. If you're not subscribed yet, hey, I highly encourage you to do that. It helps the channel, helps me out every time I get a like, a click, a comment. Helps that YouTube algorithm, helps me get more clicks on the channel. And it's like just hey, you put in some work, here's your pat on the back. And guys, I sincerely appreciate it. That's all I got for tonight. I hope you guys are having a great evening. Real Comic Stacks out.